Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for attending the Network Operations Security webinar. We have Ben Brown here, and take it away.
Good afternoon, good morning to some of you on the West Coast. I want to welcome everybody back again, and thank you for joining us for our webinar on the Network Operations Security. It is our third coverage agreement, part of the professional liability policy we offer. I have noticed there are a lot of people signed up that we work with on a day-to-day basis. I want to thank you for the business and your continued support. It really means a lot to us. I also noticed that there are many new agents and agencies that I do not recognize, and I want to welcome you to Stuckey & Company. We are looking forward to doing business with you in 2012. Upon completion of this presentation, we are going to provide the slides. So if you come in late or if you have to get up for any reason, you will be able to see the presentation. We will email it to you when we're done. Let's get started. Okay. For our learning objectives today, I want to note before we get started, when we are talking about network operations security, we do need to go back and discuss part of our standard professional liability coverage. Just like with the electronic media liability coverage agreement, the network operations coverage is only available to be written in conjunction with our professional liability coverage. We're going to discuss a little bit, go back to the first presentation and discuss a little bit about the technology professional liability. We're going to look at network operations and the type of coverage that's given under the standard professional liability policy. We're going to answer the question, how is network operations security defined? We're going to answer why do technology clients need network operations security? And we're also going to discuss what is not covered. Following the presentation, we will be answering any and all questions. This slide is what we call our technology professional liability tree. Come up with this as an easy way to kind of show everyone what our form offers from an expandability standpoint. The trunk we call our professional liability portion, because as I said earlier, we need to write professional liability in order to provide any of the other coverages. The branches of that tree are the other coverages available to be offered in conjunction with our professional liability product. This slide again shows the additional endorsements, some of the additional endorsements we offer. Our electronic media liability, our coverage agreement B, we have defense outside the limits available, intellectual property coverage available, contingent BIPD, worldwide territory coverage, and then 3 industry-specific endorsements, including management consultants, telecommunication services, IT staffing. Not many of these companies perform only technology services, so we have come up with a way to endorse specific industries into that coverage. This slide shows just a little brief, example of, coverage by service. We're going to give you an extended list a little later, so this is kind of just, a suggestion for, the main services we see, like, software consultants, computer network services, instructional services or IT training, media and advertising services, telecommunications, IT staffing, etc. Like I said, these are just, suggestions. It kind of boils down to what the insured thinks he and she needs from a risk standpoint, and we're just trying to offer the best coverage we can. Again, what is professional liability coverage as defined under our policy form? Our coverage is designed to protect professionals against liability incurred as a result of providing a product and/or service. This includes actual, alleged, or attempted acts, breach of duty, negligent act, error or omission, misstatement or misrepresentation, and personal injury. Our form includes personal injury coverage right along with the professional product and/or service that the insured is performing. Many other forms that are out there from our competitors do not build professional liability in and may specifically even exclude this coverage. Our form also defends groundless, fraudless, or false suits as well. What should a professional liability policy do? It should defend the insured, should indemnify the insured, should also fulfill the insured's insurance requirements such as the carrier rating, the coverage, and the limits desired. It should also give legitimacy and promote trust with its customers. As we should expect, it gives protection against the financial burden imposed by a lawsuit if it is brought against your client. Your client, of course, may sometimes have the thought process, quote unquote, it won't happen to me attitude, and is really only concerned about fulfilling their contractual obligations. In this case, we need to show the carrier rating are adequate, the coverage is appropriate, and the limits are available based on those contract requirements. The coverage agreement. This is where we get our coverage. It includes the insured, excess of deductible, damages and defense costs, a wrongful act, and the coverage period. The coverage agreement says the carrier will pay on behalf of the insured all sums in excess of the deductible which the insured shall become legally obligated to pay as damages and defense costs because of a wrongful act during the coverage period. These terms are the basis for a professional liability policy, much like they are the basis of many other types of insurance policies. This slide gives the definition of a wrongful act as it's defined in our product. Wrongful act is an actual or alleged negligent breach of duty, error, misstatement, misrepresentation, or omission while performing a technology product, service, and even personal injury. We want everyone to remember that personal injury is automatically included in our professional liability coverage. The slide once again defines personal injury. Personal injury is the mental, emotional distress, humiliation that leads to false arrest, detention, or imprisonment, or malicious prosecution, publication or utterance of libel, slander, violation of an individual's right to privacy, also wrongful entry or right of privacy occupancy. I wanted to list personal injury here because once again it is part of the definition of wrongful act. Now, what is not covered? Things that are not covered under this professional liability coverage, obviously general liability, bodily injury and property damage that would be covered under your general liability, tangible property, workers' comp, EPLI or employment practices liability, and your D&O or directors and officers. Some carriers use tricky endorsements and or coverage wording such as quote-unquote technology services endorsement that sound much like they have professional liability coverage, but it is not. Please be aware of this. Also be aware of the endorsements on the GL or property coverage that appear to offer broad coverages for things like quote-unquote cyber liability or other similar coverages. Many times carriers put this together on endorsements to limit their liability. They see potentially large claims, so they will give very small limits of even 1,000 to 5,000 coverage as a sales tool. Who needs professional liability insurance? Any and all sectors in the technology industry. Company needs tech E&O if it does things such as sells a technology product, provides a technology service, deploys technology for others, and or teaches technology. Today's businesses, small and large, rely on technology. Technology drives or defines our business models, so it is very important to see that it works well. We all know how good technology can be, but we also know how bad it can be if it does not work. This right here is a brief list that we've put together, just examples of technology products. It's not everything, of course, but it is the main things we see: devices, circuit boards, computer chips, CPUs, hardware, telecommunications products, etc. we need everyone to be aware of the policy language. Other competitors' policy do not include technology products or even technology services. Some carriers may limit their technology products coverage that they provide. Not only do we provide technology products, but we also provide coverage for the design, development, manufacturing, distribution, and sale of such. This slide gives basically a list of technology services that our form encompasses. Just really quick to go over the main ones we see: web design, programming and maintenance, information system and web hosting, telecommunication network design, maintenance, analysis, security, IT project management, consulting, and database design. Again, beware. I think we did a good job of giving a pretty broad definition of a technology service. It is in the nature of the tech industry to outsource, so it's very important to include information systems outsourcing and project management as a covered service. If there's a product and or service that your client provides that we do not satisfy, please let us know and we can see what we can endorse onto the policy or see if it actually will fit into one of those other areas. Really quick, I want to let everyone know who the insured is. Insured is the named insured. Its subsidiaries, owners, their state, heir, and legal representative, administrators, independent contractors, and employees, whether they're full-time, part-time, seasonal, or temporary. These definitions vary from carrier to carrier. I want everyone to make sure they look at the language in each professional liability policy to see what is actually being covered and what the definition of insured is. Specifically for a technology company, even the small firms, it's very important to make sure the independent contractors are covered. You may have a client that specializes in database design and subcontract out his PHP or Java programming. Our policy identifies these types of independent contractors as an insured and will respond to claims made against the subcontractor when performing duties on behalf of the insured. Now, start getting into the main meat of this presentation. The network coverage that is under the professional liability is normally handled as an exclusion or an endorsement. Things like virus, unauthorized use, unauthorized access, exclusion, or computer virus endorsement. We do not have an exclusion under our professional liability for those things. Coverage is given for arising solely out of providing computer and technology products and or services. Services performed by the insured or the insured is still excluded. Our professional liability policies, some network coverage is provided as an exclusion or endorsement. The endorsement normally clearly defines virus and unauthorized access, then says something like, unless such unauthorized access is a result of a malfunction of your software product, or this exclusion does not apply to the failure or detect the presence and or erroneous transmission of computer viruses or other similar computer programming instruction. We have taken a great leap and have left out that exclusion altogether in our product. However, under the professional liability, a claim still needs to do three things. One, arise solely out of providing computer and technology products or service for others for a fee. Two, services performed by the insured for the insured are still excluded. And C, this all makes this third-party coverage. Now on to our network operations security coverage. What is network operations security? It is defined as activities performed by the insured or by others on behalf of the insured to protect against unauthorized access to and the unauthorized use of the insured's computer system, or to protect against denial of service attack. Let's define some of those terms. What does unauthorized mean? Unauthorized use is the gaining of use of a computer system by an unauthorized person. Unauthorized access is the gaining of access to a computer system by an unauthorized person. This is standard definition. We also have an enhancement to include unauthorized people gaining access or use of a computer system in an unauthorized manner. This is for those rogue employees. They aren't hacking into the system, they already have access to it. They are using the system in an unauthorized manner, stealing data or personal information to do financial harm to you or your clients. What is the definition of the insured's computer system? The insured's computer system is a system that is leased, owned, or operated by the insured, or operated solely for the benefit of the insured by a third-party service provided under written contract with the insured. Data center and co-location is a perfect example of this. I don't know any technology companies that do not lease, own, or operate a computer system for themselves or others. What type of companies need this network operation security coverage? Companies who lease, own, or operate a computer system, as we just discussed, outsource their systems, and or have a system that contains personal or regulated information. To continue on, who needs? These are a list of services offered that you may run into by your clients, that are insureds. Software consultants, computer network service firms, IS providers, IT staffing companies. These are all just more examples. This slide gives a couple examples as to why your clients will need this. In a study done by the Annual Phenomenon Institute in 2009, an average cost of data breach to an organization was $202 per exposed record. 44% of breaches were caused by third parties, outsourcers, contractors, consultants, or other partners. McAfee study in 2009, data losses by companies totaled $1 trillion worldwide in 2008. In the current economic downturn, pressures to reduce spending and looming layoffs have led to porous defenses and increased motivation for crime. A large percentage of breaches are caused by subcontractors and from outsourcers, another party who has access to your information. Okay, this is another example. This is actually a Fannie Mae. I'm sure everyone's familiar with who that is. This actually happened in 2008. A rogue employee placed a logic bomb on their website that was set to go off 1/31/2009. It would have completely wiped out all of their mortgage lenders' 4,000 servers, causing millions of dollars in damage, and possibly shut down their operations for up to a week. The malicious script that was placed by this rogue employee was put at the bottom of a legitimate script, separated by a page of blank lines that hid the malicious script within the legitimate script. The contractor that placed this actually used a Fannie Mae laptop computer to gain access to the system and implant the script. The contractor was actually indicted for unauthorized computer access and faced a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. This is another example. This is a cyber criminal example. The internet, computer networks, and e-businesses can open a door for cyber crime, protecting both first and third party from cyber threats, including hacker attacks, data breaches, invasion of privacy, copyright or trademark infringement is imperative. Computer and Technology Professional Liability offers network operation security and electronic media activity coverage. With these endorsements, the policy protects the client and the insured's computer system against cyber assaults. What is denial of service? Denial of service attack is an event that is caused by a third party's malicious activity directed at the insured, which restricts or prevents access to an internet website or other network resource by other third parties authorized to gain access to that website or resource. Network operation coverage. Coverage is the unauthorized access or unauthorized use that results in things such as theft, alteration or destruction of data, hacker attacks, and breach of privacy. Also, the denial of a user's access, participation in insured system in a denial of service attack, and the failure to prevent transmission of malicious code. Let's see what they're actually stealing. They're stealing your personal information, things including social security number, your protected medical and health information, driver's license number, your bank account, credit card, debit card, etc., other non-public information in privacy regulations. The notification expense claims are trending upward due to a requirement by some state regulations that they have to notify all customers if there has been a breach, not just when data is stolen, but if a breach has occurred. These are just a few examples of certain privacy regulations. I'm sure everybody's been to the doctor and is very familiar with the HIPAA laws that were enacted in 1996. HIPAA stands for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act of 1999, and the California Security Breach Notification Act. Now, of course, what isn't covered? The electrical or mechanical failures, electrical interruptions. These exclusions do not apply to failures under the insured's control resulting from a wrongful act or a denial of service attack. Finally, what do we need to underwrite? Just as before, we of course need an application, either ours or a competitor's. We need to know things like what do they do, who do they do it for, what is your client's website, and how much revenue are they generating. Our coverage is rated on 6 risk classes and is based mainly on revenue. Teaching and hardware sales are the easiest, and structural CAD software, financial funds transfer are the most risky. We ask what they do and who do they do it for many times throughout our application, and then enforce our underwriting with the client's website. I want to let everybody know we do offer our rating online for our agents. It takes roughly 5 minutes or so to get a quote. And you can find that at Stuckey.com. This is Dwight, Maggie, and myself's contact information. Feel free anytime to give us a call. It's our job to get you a quote as quickly as possible and answer any questions you may have. We're now going to open it up for if anyone has any questions, please let us know. Doesn't look like anybody has any questions right now. If when you walk away from this presentation or after we get it and you're going through it, when we email it to you, and you come up with a question that you can't really think of right now, feel free to email Maggie or I, and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. I want to thank everyone for joining us for our Network Operations Security webinar. Thank you.